Today's episode of Intimate Details with Dr. Tiff is being brought to you by Kinky Green. Kinky Green offers sustainable wellness solutions that alleviate pain and accentuate pleasure. Using hemp-derived CBD, Kinky Green is exactly what your body needs to naturally support sleep, mood, muscle recovery, and even your romantic life. To find out more about their complete line of products, including the best-selling Muscle Melt Pain Balm, visit shopkinkygreen.com. All listeners of this program can receive an extra 15% off when you use offer code Dr. Tiff. Exclusions may apply. Now let's start the show. To say that my guest today is a change agent is a bit of an understatement, but she is. She's worked for years leading her own company, building strategies for stakeholder engagement and leading various industries in the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now she's on a mission to be a change agent in marriages with her new book, Marriage Business, From Proposal to Prosperity, Building Your Dynasty the Fortune 500 Way. Please welcome my dear friend, Bonika Wilson, to Intimate Details with Dr. Tiff.
I'm so excited to be here with my friend who is a celebrity. Thank you.
The legend, Bonika Wilson. Listen, Bonika has been on TV more times than I have in 2024. I want you to know she has been traveling the globe promoting marriage business. I'm so
glad you said that
you,
today because it's only the 15th or 16th day of the month, and you don't start come out the gate. Yes. You rest for New Year's, and then so I can only say that today. Because after today, you're going to be back in business. You're going to be like, okay, now my vacation is over. So thank you for saying that today.
Listen, vacation is never over. I think we always need to be on holiday. I believe, I'm on a mission to remain on holiday as long as I can. But no, you have been doing the work. I've been seeing you on the circuits here in Atlanta, locally and beyond, on 11 Alive, on iHeartRadio, on all the things. And I could not be more proud of you for doing. You've been working on this book for
a long 28,000 years. Wow.
Yeah. I remember when it was just an idea and you were like, I really have this idea. And we're going to get into all of that. I just wanted, Bonika and I go back. I won't say way, way back, but back far enough. I will tell the story later of how you tried to kill me. But then we became friends, and Thanksgivings have never been the same.
Our karaoke nights at Thanksgiving. First of all, Thanksgiving without you is no Thanksgiving at all in our house now, just so you know. Without you and Jason's karaoke.
It was weird this
y'all
year.
Baddest.
It was weird this year. So this was no, when we get Bonika on the mic rapping to Rapper's Delight, honey, it's something else. Or self-destruction. There you go. She knows
everything. I get full.
Yes, honey. Of course.
Yes.
Of course. Regalia. Yes. No, we did, this was the first year in probably 3 or 4 years that we haven't done Thanksgiving together. Thanksgiving night. So, but it was weird. It was weird for us too. We spent it, and I'm thankful we were able to spend it with Jason's family this year. They came here to Atlanta, so we weren't able to come to Charlotte, but it was so different because we were just so used to coming to Charlotte, spending the day with my family, and then spending the night.
Right. I'm hoping Jason's family get their fix because they're not going to get to, I'm not giving y'all up for at least another 3 years.
We got to bring it back this year. We got to bring it back in 2024 for sure. So I'm excited to have you here because, as my listeners know, we've been focusing really, really heavily this season on 2 pillars: relationship enhancement and intentional self-care. And you are coming in hot with the relationship enhancement today. And I love that because from time to time, we all need to take a good look at our relationships. And that's what marriage business
is about. That's exactly what marriage business is about. Doing the work. In the book, I start off with doing the work. And so somebody told me, actually my line sister's husband said, we read chapter 1 and I thought, okay, you're going to kind of work your way into it. He was like, chapter 1 was hot and heavy. He was like, it's like you came in smoking, we weren't ready for that. I was like, really? And I felt a little bad, but he was like, no, I mean, I appreciate the work, but he was like, I thought you would ease into it, but you came in hot and heavy. We was already having discussions from the very beginning about, our marriage, taking a turn and being really serious about and focused and intentional, to your point, intentional on winning in this
Mm-hmm.
thing. This is all
Yeah.
about winning. I'm a winner. This is all about winning. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's all
chapter
about
one is
winning.
hot and heavy.
Yeah. You don't come playing any games. And it's interesting because, to be clear, your background is in business. I put on this is the first time, I want you to know, that I've worn a blazer for Intimate Details with Dr. Tiff. I wanted to come
Mm.
business minded for our interview today. Like, your background is in business, but saving marriages has become something that you're not only passionate about, but you feel purposed to do. This is part of your purpose now. How did we get here? Because like I said, I've known you for years, and I've known you as this powerhouse business person, leading your team, strategic design, all of the things. And then something changed. So how do we get to the part where you really felt the need to focus
Yeah,
on
great question. And
marriage?
it's actually twofold. So one is, to your point, I've been leading teams for over 20 years, or helping organizations with strategy for over 20 years and leading them from a strategic plan. Whenever there was a gap in a business with why they're not winning, what is the path we're on, or how did we get off the right path? We go back to the strategic plan. Let's start with the business plan. What's the foundation of this business? And so I thought, wow, that could be great in marriage. The other thing is that in doing the work that I was doing with strategic planning, and then in the last 5 years or so, really solely focused on the equity work in the city of Atlanta, as the equity officer. What I saw is a lot of gaps in our community, and we're trying to solve for gaps in our community when it's at the tip of the iceberg. And you can't solve for broken communities and broken people trying to save businesses or relationships or communities when it's at the tip of the iceberg. You have to start at the foundation. And I realized by the time that we see them in a community, patterns and habits are already formed. We got to start at the foundation. And how you heal for that, how you heal broken communities and broken people, is you start with healthy homes. You got to start in the home. You can't start in the community. And I realized that. And so for two reasons, those two reasons, the fact that I saw strategic planning and business planning working with businesses that when they were broken or confused or off path, getting them back to the foundation, and seeing also people, right, broken, not just businesses, but communities broken off path. Like, how do you solve for that? Well, we got to start with a strong foundation. We got to go to a plan, and we don't have that. So for me, it was twofold in saying, you know what, I got to start with healthy relationships in the home so we can have healthy children, healthy people coming into the community. We have better chances, better odds of solving for that if we can get some foundational things, some core things fixed. And so that was really the impetus of the book. Really was like, okay, let's look for let's solve for healthy relationships. And we're going to do that by trying to solve for healthy relationships and marriages first and primary.
It feels like, this is super important to you, and it also feels like deeply personal. Like this is really tugging at your heart.
It is. And I will tell you why.
Yeah.
So I came from a broken home. My mom and dad did not remain married. And I saw a lot of dysfunction, quite frankly. And I realized, for me, how to solve that, to solve the dysfunction that I felt, I had to start at the foundation. To quite frankly, what happens, I think, in relationships is you take good or bad, what's normal for you, what's safe, what you've seen. Like, and so I have a map, I have a blueprint that was not a functional blueprint. It was very dysfunctional, highly dysfunctional. My mom did not communicate well. My dad did not communicate well. What did I do? Because I saw those patterns, I didn't communicate well in my own marriage. I'm like, oh, my mom slammed doors. I'm gonna slam a door when I'm not in the mood to talk, and like that wasn't healthy. That ain't work for her. Obviously, she got a divorce. So, but I thought in my marriage, like, that was gonna work. Right.
But
It was
it's
what I
what
knew.
you
So I
knew.
automatically went to what I knew. And I'm like, I'm gonna create these same habits for my children if I don't learn how to fix that. So I have to fix this dysfunction and create a healthy blueprint, a healthy roadmap for my own children. So for me, I think what you're hearing, Tiff, is this whole idea of it's bigger than me. Like, it's bigger than me. It's bigger than, and it became about my children, my boys, wanting to create a healthy blueprint for them. But then after the long journey of writing the book, it was so much bigger than even my boys. It was like, I'm trying to heal
Mm-hmm.
healthy communities here. I'm trying to create healthy communities in the work that I'm doing. And this is bigger than me or my family. It's about
Right.
having a healthy community. And at the end of the day, when I'm gone, has my work been done? Have I made a difference? Have I made an impact? And impact is one of my core
Mm.
values in our marriage, having impact. And so this book is really about impact. And that's probably why you hear all that passion, because it's really
Mm-hmm.
bigger than my husband and I.
Yeah.
It's bigger than our children now.
Yeah. It's funny because I talk about the same thing too with individuals that I work with. Sometimes we grow up in situations that we don't like, that don't feel great. We might grow up watching our parents fight, whether that's just verbally or physically or whatever, and we see dysfunction. And because that's what we see, like kids, we know this as parents. Kids don't always listen to what they say. They're looking, and they're looking for how you model certain behaviors. If your parents say that they love each other, but love looks different than what we think it should, they understand the concept of love, but the action of love, how it's supposed to look, is a little skewed because of what they've seen. And so they go into relationship as adults, kind of acting out what they know to be true. Even if it doesn't feel right, even if it feels icky, even if they grew up saying, I will never treat my husband or wife that way, they don't have a model. They may not have a model for how to do it the right way. And so they rely on what they actually do know, what they have seen. And so I hear that. I hear that in what you're saying, and recognizing that this might be what I know, but I got to learn what I don't know, because what I know ain't working out for me. And if it's not working out for you, it may not work out for your children and their spouses. And I think for a lot of us, that has to be the turning point. What do I want for my kids? How do I want them to view, value, think about love, what it should look like, and what marriage should look like for them? And whatever that is, whatever that should is, I have to be able to create that within my home
Bingo.
and within my marriage.
Bingo. That part, which is
Yeah.
why, quite
Yeah.
frankly, so the book,
Yeah.
chapter one, going back to chapter one, actually, it starts off with this. We talk about this
Mm-hmm.
canvas exercise, and canvas exercise is a vision exercise for both spouses. The husband has to create, what do you see as the ideal husband for your daughter? Not even for your wife, for your daughter. What would you want? Even if you
Mm-hmm.
don't have a daughter, what would you want?
Yeah.
So I would say, Jason, what would you want for Sky? Like, what would an ideal husband look
Mm-hmm.
like? And you have to
Mm-hmm.
draw it out, and you write words about the characteristics, about their heart, their head, their hands. Where do their hands? What do their hands do? Where do their feet walk? Where do they touch? Where do they work in the community? How do they show up for their family, for their community? How do they represent their family when they're out of the home? All of those things, like, we ask deep questions about, specifically, like, we don't want the surface stuff of how you want a husband to look, but we want deep. Like, what
Yeah.
do you want? It's okay for
Yeah.
Sky, like,
Yeah.
for your baby. And then Tiff, like, if you were to have a son, like, what would be a acceptable, amazing woman? Not just acceptable, but because that's par, but, like, your baby,
Yeah.
that is not, you don't want that. You want to, so what does
Right.
that look
Right. Right. And I know how
like?
mamas are
Exactly.
with their boys, honey.
And
You
so,
got to
like, so
bring
in that
it.
exercise, you're doing all this, you're saying all this, you're drawing a picture. If you're not a great drawer like me, you do a
Mm-hmm.
stick figure and you write a lot of words, but you, like, really think about that. And what the reader does not know is that,
Right.
later on we talk about, oh, well, that's wonderful that you created that for your daughter and your son. That's who you have to become. Because, I can tell you this as a counselor, and you with your clients, oftentimes you hear people getting caught up on, well, he didn't do this, he didn't do this part. He is not doing this, but you want me to do it. Yeah, because I'm not talking about what he's doing. What I'm talking about is how you're showing up.
Right.
How you're showing up for your son to
Right.
see what he wants in a wife, because he's going to gravitate to what's normal for him. So you got to show up that way. This ain't even about really your husband.
Right.
It's about how you got to show up for who you want, for your kids, for what you want them to gravitate to, because that'll
Yeah.
be their norm. And
Yeah.
so oftentimes throughout the book, I'll say,
Right.
it's not about them. This is about what your canvas, because that's your blueprint. That's what you're trying to become. It don't matter
Yeah.
what they did and what they did not,
Yeah.
how they showed up. What you said is that you want this. So that's how you got to show up.
Yeah. You say, one of the things that you say that I really love, and it really does showcase the parallel in business and marriage. I'm going to read this quote. Successful businesses have business plans. Successful teams have game plans. Successful buildings have floor plans. Successful strategies have strategic plans, and successful marriages should have a marital plan. You talk a lot about the plan. What is the plan, and where can I get one? Where can I get a plan, honey? Because they don't give you this in premarital counseling. Okay. They ain't handing this out. The minister ain't handing this out when he asks folks to stand up if they object. Okay. We need the plan. We need the roadmap. How are we getting this
Yes, I love
plan,
that.
sis?
And that's really what this was about. I'm going to tell you. So I read 1,000 million marriage books before I wrote this book. And I realized, you know, when people at the wedding toast to you and they say, oh, keep God first in your marriage team. And then I was like, well, what does keep God first mean when I want to choke somebody? Like, how does step one is keep God first is what? What do I do? Like, I'm one of those people. I need step one, step two, then you do this. Step three, if that don't work, then you need to do this.
And then wait a minute though. You need one, then 1A, 1B.
Exactly, because keep God first.
1C.
So what does that look like? And so for me, I was on a mission for what does keep God work look like? Show me the application of keep God first, because you know that sounds wonderful, but and so the book, which is great, is each chapter is a competency, is a core value, a business concept, and we talk about the concept and introduce the concept. We use a celebrity couple to show kind of the action, like this is them, kind of this is mission and action. So, because I know adult learners, we are kinesthetic. We like to touch, feel. We like some of us are visionary. Some of us are auditory. Can read something and get it. Some people have to see it. So I like to do a story, the celebrity story, my story. I share my story. And then you got working sessions. You doing your work. You are doing the work yourself. You and your spouse. And at the end of the day, you come up with your action plan. After you complete the book, you will have an action plan. So we walk through the pretty much 5 basic core values or business practices in this book is first, effective, consistent, and honest, transparent communication. So effective, consistent communication, that's one. Then it's, you know, kind of your core values. What's your values and mission? Then it's now we know our mission, we know our values. What's our goals and objectives on a daily? Now let's put this big picture, vision, mission into paper. Like, what does that look like daily on the execution, objectives and goals? So that's the third thing. The fourth thing is accountability. So in businesses, there's some measurement. Are you meeting the goals? If you're not, let's talk about what consequences look like. Let's talk about, oh, great, you got an incentive package because you know you overperformed this year. You're getting a bonus. Good job. So there's some accountability and measurement also in our marriage. That's 4 and 5 is consistent time, investment of time, investment of consistent time. Like I don't want to you like this when we in our date night. And that's not time. Like that's not consistent investment of time. Like you doing something else. Like so we're on a date or we're investing our time in our marriage. I don't know what business works without somebody coming to work and showing up every day. And it's the same thing in our marriage. Like you think that you're going to have great results, but you don't show up. This is how you showing up. That's not effective. That's not time. So it's those 5 things. So again, it's, you know, it's having the communication, effective communication. It's core values and mission. It's goals and objectives. If performance, accountability, and then time, the investment of time. You got to have the time and do the work so that you can see the outcome.
Yeah. I got to think about this too, because like you're saying, we're applying principles that work in business to our relationships. But and you just said something really important, that there are often times in jobs where people, you know, want the benefit of the job, i.e. the paycheck, the reward, right? But they want to come in and do the bare minimum. How many times have we heard someone say, I just want to get my check and go home. I just want to come in, do my work and go home. I don't want to socialize with these people. I ain't trying to make no friends. Don't ask me to come to the potluck. I ain't doing nothing extra but what's on my job description. I'm going to get my check every 2 weeks, make sure I get my benefits and my vacation time, because I'm clocking out.
I love how you gonna be
and
about your
my
vacation.
PTO.
If you be about your vacation.
No, I am. I am. I belong on a boat. Now listen, I'm gonna get my PTO too. So when I need a break,
Exactly.
I need a break. And some people do walk into their romantic relationships, their partnerships like that. And that has to be part of our downfall, that we don't want to do anything extra. We just want to show up as we are, do the bare minimum, what's required, what we absolutely have to do, not anything more. And we also want to check out when we want to check out and not be held accountable for what happens while we've checked out. In relationship, we have to hold ourselves to that standard. How do we promote ourselves at a job doing only this much? We can't grow further in our jobs. We can't grow further in our relationships without having that strategic type plan in place and without doing those steps. So I get it. I get it. I'm trying to think about too, like what is something, let me ask you this. What is a strategy or a specific business principle, something that you see working really well in business that if we place it into a relationship, could really work well for us? Does anything
Yeah,
else
I think,
come up for
I
you?
kind of talked a little bit about the
Um,
accountability piece. And in the book, we don't call it accountability, we call it
mhm.
amountability, because I think accountability sounds like I'm keeping
Oh,
score, I'm keeping record, I'm keeping account. And we don't want to feel judged in our relationship. I mean, we
mhm.
judged everywhere else. We don't want to come home with no more judgment. But talk
Mhm.
about it in
All
accountability
right.
sessions. We have a constant accountability sessions, accountability sessions. He's my accountability partner, because amount is the sum of, right? The sum of two people, the sum of something together. And then
Mhm.
mount, if you think about mounting
Mhm.
something up,
Mhm.
it's putting something up, it's holding something together, mounting something, right? And so it's stronger because it's
Mhm.
mounted.
Mhm.
And so we're stronger because we're mounted together. So I like accountability because it's the sum of two partners holding things together, keeping things together, and making things stronger. And so I think the biggest piece for me is the accountability piece. I talk about marriage as your most important resource if you leverage it that way. So if you can leverage your relationship, like for me,
Mm.
my husband and I, we did not always do this. We were not always successful at this. Okay. But what we are now is that, like,
Mhm.
I got your back. You going to win. Like, there is no
Mhm.
doubt about that. There's no option but winning. And we
Mhm.
approach our relationship that way, but it's so that we can approach every other thing that way. So we can approach our parental relationship that way. His career, my career that way.
Mhm.
Everything else we do is stronger because we use our marriage as a resource. So I'm not making a decision. I'm calling him throughout the day. Hey, let me run this by you. You got 2 minutes? He's the same way. Look, this is what's going on. I got to do this. This is
Mm.
the way I'm thinking. What do you think? Hey, we hold accountability. At the beginning of the year, we do our vision boards, and then we talk about 3 personal goals and 3 professional goals that we need to meet this year. So it could be, I want to be, have
Mm.
a one-on-one trip with my child this year with just Dylan because he's getting older. I want to do this,
Mm.
in my career. These are my 3 professional goals. I want to do this, this, and this. We put that on the big board, and we talk about, okay, by end of quarter 1, you need to be here. By end of quarter 2, you need to be here. By end of we walking through that together. So, and then
Yeah.
we meet
How do we?
monthly. Okay, where
Yeah.
are you with that? You falling a little bit behind on that. He is my partner in everything, right? And so he is my resource. He's gonna help me make sure
Mhm.
I'm meeting these personal and professional goals. And I'm gonna make sure that he's meeting
Yeah.
his. I talk about in the book, either you're a helpmate or you're dead weight. Either I'm dragging you along with your baggage, trying to get you on board, or I'm inspiring you and lifting you up. I'm
Yeah.
helping you take flight. So I'm either your helpmate or
Yeah.
I'm your dead weight. If you use your marriage tip as the most important resource,
Mhm.
every other thing falls in place because there is no losing, and not just your marriage, but in everything. Because
Mm.
I got your back. You calling me throughout the day, like, what's going on? Like, how do I help make this happen? This threw a wrench in my plan for the day, my agenda. I'm gonna need you to do
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z. Like, we're partners, and we really approach everything that way. And we haven't always done that, which is why I know this works now. We have
Mhm.
consistently been living this strategy,
Yeah.
our strategic marital plan. We have been consistently doing it for about 5 or 6 years now, and we've been consistently winning. Prior to that, it was
Mhm.
like I felt like I got this obstacle. I got to figure this thing out. And now I don't have to figure it out alone. Like I got my business partner
Yeah.
to help me work this thing out and think about
Yeah.
it. And it's just been a blessing. It's been a game changer for our marriage, for sure.
I want you to tell me from a business perspective, not really from a marriage business perspective, right? How we go about um, overcoming these obstacles in marriage. And these are just things that I'm thinking like couples typically would face. So let's say it's a financial issue. Let's say one partner is maybe they're not together. I won't even say one is spending and one is saving, but let's say they're not together on their finances. Maybe they um one partner has an account, they have another account, they have separate monies. This one partner A pays all of their individual bills, and then partner B pays individual bills, and they don't really talk or communicate very well about money. Such as, when partner A wants to buy something, partner A may feel like, well, if I don't have it in my account, then I must not be able to get it because I don't have access to partner B's money. And, I don't really want to go there. Right. So, how do we tackle that particular issue if it feels like an issue to the couple? How would you recommend they apply? What types of business principles would you recommend they apply to work through the financial
Yeah.
discomfort
So
that they're
first of all, we
experiencing?
talk about core values and having equal alignment. And so in the book, you do a SWOT analysis. You talk about strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This may come up.
Hmm.
Spending habits, different spending habits when you're doing your
Yeah.
SWOT.
Yeah.
Because we talk about like what thing, if you don't get fixed, this could be
Yes.
detrimental to the relationship. And this what might be one of those things. We spend
Money.
all the money.
Yeah, money is
But so
always
we
one of
talk
those
about
top
that
tier.
early on. And we also
Yes.
talk about having core values that align. And so one of the things that we hope to have is
Hmm.
that we have this alignment of, what's a dynasty? We talk about also in the book legacy and dynasty. Like legacy is being able to build assets and have assets to
Hmm.
transfer over to your children, to your heirs. Dynasty is bigger than money, bigger than a transfer of wealth. It's about transferring culture and norms and values, and this is how we make decisions in our family, and this is
Hmm.
how we do Thanksgiving dinners, and it's all of
Hmm.
those things that are you can't like just transfer money. It's like how
Hmm.
we do business in our family, how we show up. This is our brand. It's like kind of like when you think about the
Yeah.
Rockefellers, like that's the dynasty, right? And
Yeah.
so for me, going back to this,
Right.
back to your financial question, it's having those conversations about, hey, what are we trying to be able to leave behind, first of all? And are we trying to leave a legacy? Are we trying to leave something bigger than that? Is it more than just financial, you
Hmm.
know, comfort that we want to leave our children? Or is there, bigger things that we want to be able to live them, buildings and dynasties and all this other stuff, right? So talking about that. So you talk about
Hmm.
those things
Hmm.
early on. Actually, in the book, you talk about like what is it that our real goal is, our end goal is, so that you can try to have that alignment. So if you already are in marriage and you don't have that alignment, you have a spender and a saver, and you're on two different paths. The conversations in the book tries to push conversations about what are we trying to accomplish? What's our end game, right? And if it's we can see value in, yeah, there is some
Hmm.
value in being able to leave a big transfer or pot of wealth to our children, or a dynasty, if you will. Then let's start talking about how we, with what our financial decisions need to look like to
How we
be able
do
to
that.
get to that. It may be that one partner said, I don't care about leaving financial things. I want to leave other things, these, kind of knickknacks, for that lack of a better word. Like I want to leave kind of, my family
Right.
blanket and my family, we have a
Hmm.
crest, a family crest. That's important to leave, right? So it's having those discussions, but in the book, it pushes you to have those discussions to see if that you can find alignment. And then if you find as you find that alignment, you will find
Hmm.
alignment. Then it's okay. We know that we want to get there. This is what we're going to have to do, and let's have a disciplined routine around it. And you come up with actually in the book
Mm.
a financial plan, a budget, and you stick to that budget. And it may be we're on this budget for 2 or 3 years until we accomplish X, and then hey, babe, you can get all of those other extra miscellaneous things. But it's having those conversations. One, first about what is our values and what is our impact, and is this really important to us? And if it is, then we got to start having some disciplines around it. And we went through all of that. Like for us, it was a
Mhm.
very tough time. I talk about in the book,
Yeah.
when even planning for our wedding, like we were sharing 2-piece KFC meals. I mean, we were on a strong budget. Like,
I
and
know
thank
that's
you,
right.
Jesus, we ain't there no more. But we had tight. I mean, tight. You get the wing, and I get the leg, and you get can we split the biscuit? Like, I mean, we were tight. And so, yeah, you got to
I know
say,
that's right.
but we did have the conversations early on about what are we trying to leave? Because I'm first generation educated in my family. I knew education was important. I knew I wanted to be able to not have my kids be able to, my kid don't never have to, work to pay for college. Thank you, Jesus. But that took a lot of discipline up front. And we were true to that, like we don't want this for our
Right.
kids. So what does that look like? That looks like some tough nights, some nights with, where you get that leg and you act like a fool.
Right.
You drink you
Right.
some hot tea and some hot water and feel yourself on. It's that. But now, where are we at now? We don't have to, thank you, Jesus, go
Yes.
through that. But it took us being very disciplined in the beginning. And so the book
Right.
does force you to have those strong, tough conversations about what is it big picture that we want to accomplish. Because at the end of the day, the other big thing about this book, Tiff, is that it's constantly pushing your relationship as a dynasty, as something bigger than you and Jason, something bigger than Dante and I. It
Yeah.
is about what we leave after we're gone. And so we're constantly pushing that, which
Yeah.
I think helps you approach your marriage as a business, because it helps us take out the emotional piece and really focus on a logical, analytical strategy to our relationship. And we still do have a lot of love infused in our marriage and emotion at times. But for the most part, we're like, look, this is a business. Look, we, like, take some of this emotion out. It helps us even with our kids. Oh, I got to talk about this real quick. Also in the book, we have, I talked about us having these
Yes.
monthly meetings. We also have weekly family meetings where we bring the kids in,
Yes.
because this is a business. And these, we won't call them our employees, but we call them, they like middle management. They ain't executive chef, they middle management. But we want to
Okay.
bring y'all into the conversation so we can.
Listen, Baylor got to be in the mail room, honey. I don't know if he middle management yet, although he probably
Baylor is
does
the
run
head boss.
everything in that
Yeah,
house.
he's like, look at here, what I need you to do. Baylor, girl, he has an office in the house. He says, he could tell me the other day, the pantry, the pantry by the kitchen, the office. He says,
Yes.
you have your boxes in my office.
I know that's right.
Can you
Get
remove
them
your
out.
boxes
Get
from
them
my
out.
office? Because this is my office. So he has an office in the house, by the way. But we do have family
That's right.
meetings once a week on Sundays, usually after church, after we have dinner, and we talk about every week, one person out the family has to bring a opportunity to solve, something to solve. Or we, instead of calling it a challenge or a problem, we say it's an opportunity. And it could be, me, I had to deal with a, complex client this week. Tell me how I deal with that. Or we're dealing with layoffs at work, and I'm really stressed about how this is affecting me and impacting me, that we were reorging at our company. What does that look like? Help me think about how I can still have empathy for those people and do the right thing for the company, right? So like that might be something that me or my husband bring. Dylan, we had a kid at school that's dealing with bullying, and I wanted to talk to the kid and the bully and like really see if there was a way that I can insert myself to help out. How does that look? So every week, one person has to bring something to the table. What we're trying to teach our kids is, even Baylor had to, what happened? You couldn't tie your shoe. Let's talk about how.
Mommy had her stuff, her Amazon packages in your office.
How you going to deal with that?
You need to have a talk with mommy now.
But it's helping them make decisions without the emotion. Like, let's think about logically and analytical how we make decisions. Because the truth of the matter is, we want them to be good leaders, and good leaders have to know how to make good, tough decisions. So we want to bring them in, and we have transparency, like letting them know that we, even as adults, need counsel. We need support in how we make decisions, and we want them to feel very much a value add to our lives as well. But it's really helping them make decisions, and that's important, because you see now kids on TV every day making emotional decisions, life-changing decisions because they had a bad day. And it's like, no, we got to teach these kids how to make very logical, take some of that emotion out, right? And so, because we don't want you going up to school because you had a bad day. We got to think about how we work through some of those things. And so even in that is practicing and teaching our kids how to move some emotion off the table and make really good, concrete, logical, analytical decisions, and which we think helps them become better
Yeah.
leaders. Hmm.
Better humans. Better humans too. Let me talk about work life balance. So let's say we have a couple where one person is like really trying to achieve some, professional goals, or doesn't balance their workload very well, maybe brings work home, or is not as involved as the other partner might like for them to be. What types of business strategies do we put in place to kind of maybe help them see each other's perspective, but also to
Absolutely.
balance
So
that out a
one
little
of the
bit better?
things you do is use a time management system. We like to use time management systems because your marriage is important, your relationship is important, and you got to balance that. Now, and so is your job, and you
And
got to
so is your
balance that.
job.
And so,
Yeah.
oftentimes, even for us, there's
Yeah.
been times where I'm like, you know what, this is earnest week for my husband at work. I We're not gonna see much of him this week because you need to be focused on earnest. And going back to the dynasty, like we have all,
Right.
poured into the fact and bought into the fact that we have some goals here. So that might require you to be tapped out this week. And we get that, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be some times where you're not going to be able to tap out. Dylan got a game tonight, a basketball game. Dante's going to be at that basketball game, right? So it's like, but that we use time management systems. We talked about accountability in our family meeting. I failed
Hmm.
to mention this. We go through our schedule for the week too. So Dylan, what's your schedule? I got a basketball game on Tuesday. Friday, we got an away game. It's at this time. Okay, so we all walking through each other's schedule before we get to that, the thing that we're solving for the week. But that helps us
Right.
also hold accountability. Okay, I'm be able to make this game, but Friday, I might not be able to make that game, but I'm going to be able to, spend some time with you on Saturday because of it, right? So there is a time management system, and going back to that accountability piece, like we hold each other accountable too. Like,
Hmm.
there's some give and take, and so knowing the big picture, Tiff, I think is really what's important. Like knowing where we're trying to get to as a family. This is the
Hmm.
dynasty that we're building, and it may require you to be checked out and more involved in work and more intentional on work these 2-3 weeks out the month. Right. And so we
In
give
this
grace for
moment,
that. We give grace for
but
that
not
because we all
always.
know what the big picture is, and
Yes.
we all focus on helping all of us accomplish the big
Right.
picture. And so we get that. But that goes back to what I talked about earlier, effective, healthy communication. Like, let's communicate that. Like, if you say I'm gonna need to be tapped out for this week, and I bought into that, okay, but you're gonna make it up on the back end, right? We're gonna have some time.
Right. You're not going to be
Exactly.
tapped out next week
Exactly.
too,
So
and the
there we
week
go,
after
holding
that.
each other
Yeah.
accountable.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that if we think about that from a work perspective, it's like, I joke and talk about vacation time quite a bit, but if you do have to be out on vacation, someone else has
Mhm.
to do your work while you're gone. A lot of times it just
Right.
the business doesn't stop because you're on vacation. The business is continuing to thrive and grow and do all of the things that it needs to do. But when you come back, you got to get yourself back in there. You can't just, oh, I'm back from vacation, but my mind and body still want to be on vacation. So I ain't going to check all the way back in for another week. No, people have been covering for you. Your spouse might have been covering for you. Your kids might have been excusing or giving the grace that they needed because they understood that you were on assignment somewhere else or you needed to be out. But now that you're back in, we need you all the way back in because someone else might need some
That is
relief
absolutely right. And we
as
do that
well.
a lot. I talk about that in the book too. First of all, I gotta hold some weight for you when you need to be out. And you're gonna hold some weight for me. It's gonna be vice versa. But I talk
Yeah.
about, successful couples think that, because we're successful, I see this a lot. This book is really good for people who are very, very successful, because what happens with successful couples is they think, oh, this marriage thing is one other thing that I can do successfully. And we just kind of like let it like, and I use Bill and Melinda Gates actually as an example for this, because you have a successful company, you have a successful nonprofit, you have successful children, you've raised them well, you've done a lot of things successfully, but then we've lost our marriage, and so we think that, because we're so
Yeah.
great and so successful at things, that we can just do, this is one other thing that we can manage successfully. And quite frankly, it's not, unless you
Mhm.
put in the same work the same focus you did running at
The same
Microsoft,
effort. Yeah.
running the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, being great parents. Somebody was, maybe the lead in that, and somebody maybe took the back seat sometimes, but you figured out that too. And then we lost it. And what, it's kind of like that Bible verse. What sense does it make for a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? And what sense does it make for us to gain all of this wealth and success in our career and we lose our family? And so that's really what this book is about, like being intentional about everything else that you're great at, like and being intentional about your marriage as well, like not missing that one thing, because again, if we can be successful at this, the other stuff we can be successful at, because you got a partner that's like, you're going to do good at work, because I'm going to make sure I got your back at home. I'm washing these dishes, I'm cooking this food, I'm going to this game. You go ahead on and stay at work late tonight. You got that, somebody holding you down like that.
Yeah. And I feel like that's the part that many folks are missing. They don't feel like they have the person that is kind of the yin to their yang, that is when I'm down. Like I hear this from a lot of people, and especially I'll say women, especially where they feel like they have to take on the world. Like, I can't be down, I can't be sick, I can't check out, I can't call in, I can't not do things. I have to be the one that fixes the lunch. I have to be the one that fixes dinner. I have to take the kid to school. I got to be able to pick them up. I have to make it to the game and not having the partner, because we as women, we got work to do, right? In turning those things off and dialing it back. But we also need partners that jump in and say, babe, I need to do this. We can do this together. Or why don't you take a break and let me do this? Let me take over. I got it. And I'm guilty of that too. Jason sometimes has to sit me down, and he gets frustrated with me when I'm like, no, I got it. And he's just like, when are you, like, sit down? And when he does that, when he does the whole like, let me do it, takes a deep breath and looks at me, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll let it go. But it is a muscle that we really do have to exercise to allow our partners to be our partners, right?
And so so it's really I will say it is a mindset shift. It's a mindset shift. It's not a natural thing. To your point, you do have to exercise that muscle. To your point, we as women, we don't think about it like that at all. They think about it a little bit more. It's more easy for them to be like, oh, just take this and take this and take this and take this too. For us, it's a little bit more difficult to let go.
I think it's interesting. The more I think about it, Bonika, like, I feel like for women especially, like, we tend to work in isolation a lot, not just with our families, but like we are the type of people, we are the type of humans that consistently are just like, oh, I see this needs to be done, I'm gonna go do it. We don't necessarily, like, if we have a girlfriend or a guy friend or whomever, wants to jump in and help out, fine. But when we see a need especially within our families, we jump to it. Something falls on the floor, we make a mess, we go ahead and clean it up. Ain't no sense in waiting on somebody else to do it. We got to do it. And in partnership, in a marriage, in a partnership, in a relationship, in a business, we have to look at the business of the family and the business of the marriage as a community activity, and that everyone has the same responsibility for this thing to work out and to succeed. So my last thing that I want to throw at you is sex. Specifically, I'm a sex therapist, right? So I know, but I'm asking you, I ain't write the marriage business. Okay. You wrote the marriage business. So if the business is sex and one partner feels like, I'm not in the mood, I don't want to do it, and the other one is like, come on, baby, it's been a few days or a week or a month or whatever it's been, the desires aren't the same, the all of the things that happens in marriage. How do you deal with that from a business perspective? Is it a negotiation at that point? Do we develop a contract for the lovemaking?
Sometimes it is a negotiation, actually, and sometimes it's a scheduled thing too. Like, hello, it is Tuesday at 9 p.m. Get it? Let's
Mm-hmm.
get on it.
Yes. Yes. We got our meeting.
But the
It's
truth of the
time.
matter is, too, the other thing I think
Yeah.
we've learned is that having this strategy for a marriage has helped us even with understanding
Mm-hmm.
intimacy better and having intimacy and understanding the need for intimacy, but also the
Yeah.
desire. I will tell you that for me, like intimacy is not like that important. But what I will also say is
Mm-hmm.
this: when I have somebody who is pushing me and like, I got your back and I'm here, we winning together, it's more attractive. It helps. It helps to see in the marriage because you're like, yeah, babe, let's get it on. I mean, even if it's just like, I need a cuddle tonight because you was
Yes.
helping me win this week and you got it and you was there for me. I had a book signing Sunday and my
Yeah.
husband was at the book signing making sure, hold the book this way. Like he was working at it. I was like, okay, you getting it tonight. Okay. It's attractive because we winning together. Let's
And
see.
how he knew, you know what? Yeah. 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 So I always say this: intimacy is emotional closeness and physical closeness. We kind of think about it as the physical aspect of it. But, you can say, like, I don't need to be intimate in the same way that he does. And that could be true. But one thing is that connectedness that you felt in that moment when he sought out a need that you had that maybe you didn't recognize you had in that moment, like that becomes this thing that bubbles up inside of us and
Exactly.
makes it like, oh my gosh, him doing that external thing makes me want
That's
to
so
physically
right.
be
That
more
part.
close to him.
So that's what I'm saying. I feel like
Yeah.
really the
Yeah.
marriage, if you use it as the most important asset and resource in your life, it trickles on to everything else. When you start seeing this man bought in or your partner bought in to you winning in not only your career, but in your personal life as a mom, as a boss, all the things, you see them that committed, that partner
Mhm.
that committed to you. It helps in that other area. I'm telling you, like, you helping me win. I want to reward you. Going back to that accountability, that reward system, you
Yeah.
getting a bonus. You getting a bonus this year.
Yes.
You getting a renewal of your contract this year, bro. Because you've been showing up.
All right. Now we've gotten there. Yes, we need a bonus system in
Exactly.
place for folks to
You getting a bonus, versus a
That's it.
performance
That's
improvement
it.
plan. Now, you don't want me to put you
Mhm.
on a tip.
Uh,
Now, if I put you on an improvement plan
yeah.
because you ain't meeting your goals, like that's a problem too.
Listen, he might be putting you on a performance improvement plan, okay?
Exactly.
Well, listen, I can't wait for everyone to get their hands on this book. I will be putting a link to the book in the show notes, as well as any upcoming appearances or signings, because, like I said, Mama is all over the place, going hither and yon, trying to sell this book, and the people are buying it. So I want you guys listening out there today, please follow my girl Bonika Wilson at Bonika Wilson and at The Business with B on Instagram and TikTok for the most up-to-date information of where she's at, what she's doing, and quite frankly, what the book is doing in other people's lives. I look forward to all the praise reports and testimonies that this book is going to bring. And I just can't thank you enough, Bonika, for being here. Auntie Bakanika, as Sky calls her. Um, or she did. Now she can pronounce your name. But back in the day, she used to say,
Exactly.
Auntie Bakanika. Yes,
Thank
I thank you so
you.
much for being here with
Thank you. I
us
have
on
enjoyed
Intimate
being
Details with
with you.
Dr. Tiff.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being such a wonderful friend. Oh my gosh, I forgot to tell the people how you killed me. You tried to kill me. So I met Bonika. Now, Bonika and myself and Bonika's husband, Dante, we went to college together. Didn't really, I knew him, but didn't really interact with him very much in college. And I was on a trip, we were on a retreat, a women's retreat
Yes. And you were like the
in the
keynote
Dominican.
speaker. Let's not leave that detail out.
Okay. All right. Bonika was, I mean, you see her personality. She's dynamic. She's beautiful. Someone I was drawn to. So like, I met her, realized we had this connection, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're great. You're great. Oh my gosh. So Bonika, I guess, had
Yes.
gotten locked. You got locked out of your
Yes.
room or something? Is that what it was? Okay. So Bonika, I'm asleep. It's dead at night. Okay. I'm on a ground floor room. Okay. So if you're at a resort and you're on the ground floor, it's great because you usually have those sliding panel doors where you can walk right out to the pool or right out to the gardens, and the ocean's right there. And you can walk straight out. That's the type of room I had.
Mm-hmm.
Bonika, I believe you were in the room next door to me. So she had the same situation. So I'm in the room by myself, minding my business in the middle of the dark of night. Okay. And, by myself, sleeping soundly. And the next thing I know, there is a flashlight out. I hear something outside. There's a flashlight shining into the patio. I had the windows, the shades drawn or whatever, but like there's a light shining in. And then somebody starts opening the patio door to my hotel room. Now, y'all have seen these shows on TLC and Oxygen and Lifetime where people get snatched and you in a foreign
Right.
country and don't nobody know where you are. And I'm like,
Yes,
oh my gosh, somebody's coming in to
Tiff
get me.
was
I
about to
started
go kill
screaming.
somebody.
I was about to get got, okay?
Oh, they in the wrong room. First of all, why the maintenance man didn't have a key? Okay. Why the maintenance man going through the window?
First of all, okay, so what had happened was Bonika got locked out of her room. They were trying to come in through the outside. Were busting in my room, thought
I
they were
almost gave
coming
the
in
lady a
Bonika's
heart
room.
attack. She was not gonna be my friend ever again. She's like, I don't know who you. I don't like you, and we are not friends.
Did.
I don't even know
I
how you
was
ever
like,
paid me
I
for that.
cannot believe you sent them people in there to
This
kill me.
man don't have a universal key. I don't understand this, but okay. But
There was a
y'all should
lot
have
going
heard
on at
Tiffany
that
about to kill.
resort.
She went straight
Thankfully, I
Atlanta.
don't ever have to go
I
back.
will kill you, Mo. And the man was running for his dear life.
Oh my gosh.
That man ran for his
Oh
life.
my gosh. I really thought I was gonna die that night. I did. Oh my gosh. And
It
then,
took
you
you
know
2
what?
years to
After that,
forgive
we
me for
became the
that,
best
though,
of friends
for
and
that
now we
heart
spend
attack. Because you
Thanksgiving
did. I
together.
think you had some conversation things going on after that.
That was a serious heart attack. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. And I think were
Tiff
we
did not
leaving that
speak
next
to me
day?
at
I
the
think we had
airport.
that
She's like,
thing at the, I don't know. That is not
so you gave me a
true.
heart
That is
attack. I
not
did
true.
not
I
mess
even
with
took a
it.
picture with you the next day. I still have a picture. If I can find the picture, I will post it. But I have a picture the day after you tried to kill me, and we were fine.
But I love you. I've been trying to make it up to you ever since.
We were fine. I know. And we won't even talk about the Beyonce concert that I missed because I ended up in the hospital, which was a nightmare.
I still owe you
We talked about that
concert
this year, Jason and I. No, I owe you because I was on. Oh my gosh, the last story I'm gonna tell, and I'm gonna let you go. So, Bonika gifted me this was Formation, wasn't it? Oh gosh, I was there. I wanted to be there so bad. So that particular day, I had an appearance on. I don't think it was Joyce Littell, but it was some other local. It was a local radio thing that I had right before that. And so I'd gone over there. I'd done the radio thing. We were talking about love and relationships. I think it was Joyce Littell actually, but talking about love and relationships. I leave V103 Studios, and I'm like, ooh, I'm a little hungry. Let me stop at the gas station. I ain't getting nothing too wild. Got some like mixed nuts, okay, in a bag. I was like, I'm going to go. I'll get something when we get to Mercedes-Benz. I think that's where it was, right? So I get there, and on the way, like my stomach just starts bubbling. I'm like, what's happening down here? I get out of the car, and I immediately, as soon as I stand up, I have to sit back down in the car because I got bubble guts. And I'm like, I don't know when and how this is going to come out, but something don't seem right. And then I'm thinking about it. I'm like, and it's this thing, right? It's like Beyonce, bubble guts, Beyonce, bubble guts. I gotta go see Beyonce. I got a free ticket, and these were like floor seats or something, right? I don't know what they were because I never made it into the stadium. Beyonce, bubble guts. So I leave my car, and I'm like, I'm just gonna make it to the bathroom because if I can make it to the bathroom, perhaps this is way too much. These are intimate details, but so I'm like, if I make it to the bathroom. It can
you'll
all
be
come
good.
out and I'll be
Right.
okay. And no one will know. I make it to the grassy knoll outside of the stadium. And I had to sit down. And the people that were kind of like directing people, they were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I just need a minute." By this time, I'm like sweating, right?
Yes.
Because when you have
Yes.
situations, it's
Yes.
really hard to hold it in. But there was nowhere for it to go. So I was like, I got to hold it in, but I got to catch my breath. Let me just sit down. I'm sweating. They come over. They were like, "Are you okay?" So I start throwing up outside, right? But then I'm still thinking, again, bubble guts, Beyonce. Bubble guts, Beyonce. So I'm like, okay, I could probably walk somewhere and get something to freshen the breath. I could probably it's out now. Maybe I'll start feeling better, but it wasn't feeling any better. And I was like, I just need like some Pedialyte, something, but I have to go see Beyonce, right? And by this time, I think you were seated, y'all had started, the concert hadn't started, but you were kind of like, "Hey girl, where are you? I thought you said you were on your way." And I'm like, "Girl, I'm outside the stadium. I'm outside. So I'm still sitting there and they were like, "Ma'am, are you going to stay? Are you going to just lay here or what are you going to do?" And I was like, "Can you just call somebody, please?" So I'm thinking they're going to bring somebody that can give me some Zofran or something to help my stomach so I can still go into Beyonce. Child, Grady ambulance came. And I was like, first of all, nothing against Grady. I know Grady saves lives. I know that if I'm ever in a trauma-related event, that is the perfect place for me to go. But what I was not going to do is get in an ambulance and be taken to Grady to sit there for 12 hours because I had the trots. So I was like, "No, I can't." I was like, "Can't y'all just give me a quick IV and then I could just run on in?" They were like, "Ma'am, we cannot give you an IV and then let you go into if we're giving you an IV, you coming with us." And I'm like, "I can't do that." I can't do that. I got to go see
What we do for
Beyonce.
Beyonce, girl.
I'm just saying. And I missed it. Because by this time, I'd thrown up again. And what it was they thought I had been drinking. I had not had a drop. They thought I was drunk and throwing up because of that. And I was like, I haven't had anything yet.
That was
I
on
was
the way.
planning on drinking, but I haven't. Yes. So they were like, "Just get in the ambulance." I'm like, "I'm not getting in that ambulance. I'm going to drive myself home." So I got back in the car. By this time, it's dusk. It's starting to get dark. The concert's getting ready to start. And I'm like, there is no way, because the last thing I need is to be in the midst of Phillips Arena and for something to come up or out. So this time Bubble Guts won. I made it back to home. And by the time I got home, I was like, "You got to take me to the hospital," which I could have gone earlier, but I was too good to go. So we went to the hospital. I think I sent you, or Jason sent you, a text message in the middle of the night, me with my little IV.
So no.
Finally got my IV.
That thing messed me up so bad, though, to see you.
Bad. You, me, I was going to go to Beyonce's concert with a diaper on.
I was so worried about you,
but you had a good
when
time.
I found out how bad it was, I was like, oh. I was like, I felt like I should have left.
Listen, y'all see, she didn't say she ain't have a good time. She had a great time.
I realized how bad.
She had a great time. No, you have to live to tell the story. You're supposed to live to tell the story. I still cringe. And I went to the concert this year. I went to her tour this year. When I tell you, I didn't talk about it beforehand because I was so scared. Something's gonna jinx it and I won't be able. I was so traumatized.
You had the Beyonce jinx. You was like, I ain't jinxing this concert.
I did. I was like, I don't want to eat nothing. I'm not eating the whole day. I ain't doing none of that. All right. We have gone way past our time and way past the subject matter.
We went way into,
y'all know, pick up
this
marriage
is real
business.
Extra intimate details today.
Way intimate. That whenever I do this, I'm weighing my options. Okay. Beyonce, Bubble Guts, and hopefully Beyonce wins every time, but there was one time she did not win. Okay. All right. You guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Do us a favor. If you know someone who needs the information, not the Bubble Guts information, but information on marriage business, that wants to save their marriage, that is strategically minded and really could use some different principles to get their marriage back on course. Marriage Business is the book for you. Please go get it. It'll be in the show notes, as well as any other information about our guest, Miss Bonika Wilson. Follow her at Bonika Wilson or at The Business Would Be on Instagram and TikTok. And share this with a friend, because somebody needs this. Somebody else needs this information. Be a good friend. Be a good friend to people and just share this information. Okay. Please and thank you. Thank you so much, Bonika, for being here. I love you.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been such a blessing to be with my friend today.
I love it. And I love you. All right, guys. Have a good rest of the day. Ciao.